If you're looking for a properly luxurious midsize pickup truck, chances are you've gotten your eyes on the GMC Canyon. With its gorgeous and well-built interior, elegant yet competent-looking exterior, and fantastic towing capacity, the Canyon definitely looks like a terrific proposition. However, there's a flip side to that coin, as the GMC Canyon is also riddled with issues and compromises that might lead you astray from it. Today, we'll be checking out what's so terribly wrong with GM's luxury midsize truck as we take a look at 5 problems with the GMC Canyon you must know about. Number 5. Terribly harsh ride. For starters, despite being a luxurious truck in terms of interior quality, design, and exterior shape, the GMC Canyon is all but luxurious when it comes down to the driving experience. In fact, it's the exact opposite of that, as it does feel quite a bit agricultural, to be honest. You see, the biggest issue of the GMC Canyon is that GM tried to make it a Swiss knife kind of truck, capable of doing everything instead of focusing on just a couple of essential things. For example, they've jacked up the suspension pretty drastically to allow for a solid amount of ground clearance, which has been all done to increase the off-road ability of the truck. In addition to that, GM has also fitted stiffer shocks and springs to allow the truck to be more rigid around the bends, as its tall ride height would have compromised its handling and safety significantly otherwise. However, as a result of all this, the truck is absolutely insufferable around town, and especially around pothole-ridden streets and roads. It just feels like a magnet for bumps and imperfections, and driving around such an environment is sure to be quite tiresome and irritating. Also, the fact that all Canyon trims come with leaf springs at the back only amplifies the ride harshness. And we honestly believe that a switch from leaf springs to a coil spring setup would have resulted in a massive benefit for the truck's comfort levels. GMC should have definitely given more thought to the suspension of the Canyon, as it's now, by far, amongst the worst riding trucks in this segment. Number 4. An unrefined powertrain. Another big issue, in our opinion, with the GMC Canyon is its engine. Now, don't get us wrong, the 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder is a pretty good engine in terms of capability, and we're not trying to suggest otherwise. However, it, just like the suspension, feels very rough and agricultural, like GM focused exclusively on capability and forgot about everything else. For starters, well, it's a 4-cylinder, and that by default means that it will be rougher and less refined than an equivalent V6 engine, such as the one found in the Nissan Frontier. Inline-4 engines are far less peppy and far less happy than V6 when it comes down to their maximum power output, general potency, as well as refinement, especially once you start revving them high, which you'll certainly be doing with this engine, as it's a turbocharged unit. Speaking of, wouldn't it have been more beneficial if the truck was fitted with a naturally aspirated V6 unit instead? The aforementioned Frontier has a 3.8-liter V6 that's both more frugal than the 2.7, while also being far simpler from a mechanical perspective. This allows it to be quite a bit less of a hassle to maintain, while also making it far smoother and nicer to drive. Plus, you would not hear the constant screaming of an inline-4 to your ear. That said, we have to give credit to GM for sticking with an 8-speed gearbox, and not trying some unnecessary 10-speed like the Ford Ranger uses. Number 3. Mediocre truck bed. One would argue that buying a pickup truck is a thing of necessity, as they should offer loads of practicality in a relatively normal package. However, if that's what you're looking for the GMC Canyon, well, we'd tell you to look elsewhere, as the Canyon has the smallest truck bed in the entire segment. You see, all of its competitors come with 2 different bed sizes, a 5-foot bed, which is standard for most trims, or a 6-foot bed, which can be optioned on the Ford Ranger, the Toyota Tacoma, and even the Nissan Frontier. The Honda Ridgeline comes with a 5.5-inch bed as its only option, which is great stuff as it is, after all, a unibody pickup truck. In addition to that, it comes with a dual-action tailgate, which allows it to be opened both vertically and horizontally, making it extremely practical. Plus, you also get all kinds of hidden storage compartments, making it once again even more useful. And what do you think? What kind of a truck bed does the Canyon get? A 5-foot one? No, you don't get to choose a bigger one, like its competitors offer. And no, you also don't get any kinds of special cubby spaces or hidden compartments. You just get a 5-foot long bed, and that's it. Honestly, GM, what in the world have you been thinking? This truck should have offered something much more substantial if they were to properly compete with their peers. But no, the Canyon just had to be the black sheep of the bunch, didn't it? but at least we get an increased amount of interior storage, right? Right? Number 2, interior space is pretty cramped. Well, there goes the neighborhood. If we're being frank, GM should have given an award for the worst utilization of space possible in its segment, as apart from having such an underwhelming bed space, the Canyon also has underwhelming interior space too. One would expect that the rear seats of the Canyon would have been at least on par with some compact SUVs or even compact sedans. But no, you'd be extremely hard-pressed to fit 2 or 3 adults in the back seats, even remotely comfortably. You see, the Canyon offers sub 35-inch legroom at the rear, not even 35 inches. That's 2.5 inches less than the Ford Maverick, which is a drastically smaller pickup truck. Now, truth be told, most other pickup trucks in the midsize segment, save for the Honda Ridgeline and the Jeep Gladiator, have a similar rear legroom and are also similarly as spacious. However, as already established, all of those offer a much better truck bed, which is why they can be forgiven for making a compromise in this regard. On the other hand, the Jeep Gladiator, which has a 5-foot bed, just like the Canyon, also has a class-leading 38.3 inches of rear legroom, which makes it easily a limousine amongst midsize pickup trucks, and in fact, pickup trucks in general. All of this combined brings us to the biggest and most important point of today's video. Number 1, the worst value for money on the market. There's no avoiding it. The GMC Canyon is by far the worst pickup truck in the segment when it comes down to the entire midsize pickup truck segment. The reason for this is the fact that it starts at $38,000, which is an incredibly steep price tag. In fact, it's around $4,000 more than the Ford Ranger, Toyota Tacoma, and Nissan Frontier, which is just uncalled for, especially when compared with the Ranger, which has a similar level of towing capacity, better MPG, a more proven engine, seeing how it uses the much adored 2.3 EcoBoost. In addition to that, you can also get it with the 2.7 twin-turbo EcoBoost V6, as well as the 3.0-liter one if you opt for the Raptor, which pushes over 400 HP. On the other hand, the Jeep Gladiator and the Honda Ridgeline, albeit a little bit more expensive than the GMC Canyon, are much better vehicles at both things that the GMC Canyon tries to achieve. First of all, the Jeep Gladiator is a much better off-roader than the GMC Canyon, seeing how it's basically a Jeep Wrangler with a truck bed fitted to it at the back. In addition to that, it also comes with a well-proven 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, which is a naturally aspirated engine that is widely regarded as one of Stellantis' best engines currently on offer. On the other hand, the Honda Ridgeline is a much better all-rounder than the GMC Canyon. Sure, it might not be a towing machine, seeing how it can only tow 5,500 pounds, and sure, it's not the best off-roader out there. However, it offers unrivaled levels of comfort and drivability on the road, and its solidly large and practical truck bed combined with relatively spacious interior make it quite a good option for those of us that need a do-it-all vehicle. Plus, it's a unibody truck, meaning that it has fantastic structural rigidity, especially compared to other body-on-frame trucks. And finally, we have to ask, why would anybody buy a GMC Canyon when they can just get the Chevy Colorado? It's $6,000 cheaper for the base model, has virtually identical styling, a practically mirrored interior except for some air vents, and when outfitted with the high output version of the 2.7-liter engine is identical in terms of performance. Sure, the higher echelons of the GMC Canyon are much better built on the inside, but if you drop $50,000 plus on a Canyon and not on a Ram 1500 or F-150, you'll be making a big mistake.